Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be talking about what you don't want to do, which is buy trap coins. Now what I mean by trap coins, that's what the video is going to be about, because it's a little more difficult to understand than it sounds, and it's based off of numismatic wisdom that I've gotten from a lot of different dealers and collectors, and I just want to share a few things that might seem basic to really experienced people, but I've only sort of recently understood maybe in the past few years, and I want to share with you just so that you can sort of even just think about it and then think about if you want to apply it to the way that you collect. So, as with many things, there's different levels to sort of what we can consider a trap coin. Some of these really have no problems at all, but it's just sort of a weird situation. Other ones are obviously sort of like targets where you could get scammed. So I'll start with the more obvious stuff, and then we'll get to the things that require a little more nuance or just like planning when you're thinking. Maybe it's not even a bad coin to buy, but you'll see what I'm talking about by the end of the video. The first coin that you really want to be careful with are significantly expensive coins that are not graded and being sold at the prices that, would be paid for a coin that's sold in a graded holder. And the really important thing with this is that you want to be looking at coins in PCGS or NGC holders, and there's going to even be some caveats to that down the line here. But and this is all just sort of opinion based off of what I've seen. But if you have a coin, somebody has a $2,000 coin, it's a rare trade dollar or something, and it's not in a graded holder, well, there's probably a reason for that. Or something like a 20,000 Gobrek dollar. There's no reason. These coins should be in graded holders. That's a little different when you're talking about like a $50, $100 coin. Grading fees might be $25, so there's probably a good chance that the person, it wouldn't make any sense financially to pay like $60 or $70 for it, spend $27 for grading, and then you might make, a $5 or $8 profit. Well, that's fair if you're selling it raw, but say it's like gold from the early 1800s in the US, that's rare stuff. If it's not in a holder, worst case it's counterfeit, but maybe it's just got some damage. Maybe there's some tooling, that people have sort of carved in a little graffiti on one side, or there's there's a notable but not extremely obvious to a novice eye. Sometimes I get fooled every once in a while cleaning. So there's a lot of things that you want to think about when, and this doesn't necessarily apply to every collector, but that's a big problem, as well as coins that are in like a graded holder that is not PCGS or NGC, just because those are sort of like the market makers. ANAX is a good grading company, though the way it works is that if you've got a coin in an ANAX holder or ICG holder, those are allowed on eBay. But if it's a super valuable coin, people will probably want to have crossed it over to PCGS or NGC, because it isn't simply going to get anywhere near the premium, because it could be one of these trap coins where, they miss something. I remember in the coin shop, good example, I'm not going to say the grading company, but it wasn't ANAX, ICG, PCGS, or NGC. It was a decent grading company, but it was like a overdate coin. The shop paid like $3,000 for this coin, and it was in an AU50 holder, and then as soon as it went to PCGS, automatically it was a details coin. There was some damage on the back that was significant, and I think the shop was able to break even, but there's a lot of looser standards. Some of it is like just a looser standard. Other times it's a company that's actually has their own grading company internally and is assigning just bogus grades so that they can market it and sell it to people. So you want to avoid trap coins like that. You also want to avoid coins that are, even if they're in a PCGS holder, if it says cleaned or damaged or something like that, it could be a nice way to get into like a coin that would otherwise be way, way out of the price range. But when I collect myself, I don't really do too much with anything that is in a details holder from PCGS or NGC, because it's just tougher. When somebody looks at that coin, it's always going to be damaged, and it's always going to have these. It's going to be not sort of a straight grade. It's not authentic wear that just maybe happened over time and is attractive, nice circulation. Something happened to the coin that's not natural, and it's always it's so much harder to sell this stuff, especially when you're dealing with rare coins like a rare variety or something like that. When that thing is in a details grade, if it's already something that's not super liquid, there's very few people willing to purchase that. I was talking to, he was talking about it. Ethan from Maryland Coins, he found some variety, paid like $250 for it, knowing it was damaged. Super rare variety, and if it was not damaged, it would be like $4,000, and he can't sell it for $1,300. So that just gives you a idea of how drastic what I'm talking about, how it can actually manifest. So, just important that I go over that detail with you. Now, there's also another tier of coins where if it's a super, super expensive coin and know the right market for it and know the right coins, but sometimes one grading company between PCGS and NGC, right now on US stuff, it's PCGS, and this is not like, I'm not slandering NGC or PCGS's grades, it's just what the truth of the market is. If you've got a really high-end Mint State 67 coin in an NGC holder, and there's no CAC sticker on it, and it could be CAC'd, well, it probably has been a CAC. If it's a $5,000 coin. This is the most applicable to everybody, not necessarily, but there's different tiers of trap coins, and I see people trying to do stuff with it. Sometimes they can sort of back their way out of it and do okay. Other times, they're stuck with a coin that they thought was a lot better. Playing the population game, the NGC and PCGS will tell you what pop coins are. So if, there is some bonus for being at PCGS because that's where the set registry is really competitive. If you've got a top pop coin, that's pretty valuable. But if you got the top pop at NGC and it can't cross, that's probably been tried many times to go cross at PCGS. And again, this is not like always the case, but it often is the case. If the market standard is paying more for PCGS coins, why would somebody with an NGC coin not have tried it if they're going to get 2,000 or even 50% more if they can pay like say 2% of the coin's value to try it a few times at PCGS. So that's something to think about. Same thing with the pops. If you look at coins that copper designation, for example, brown versus red, brown versus red. People love collecting the red coins because it's just great. It looks like it's right off the presses. If it's oxidized and it's a brown, it's just not quite as attractive in terms of how the metal has oxidized or interacted with air, and the overall payment, people are paying a lot less. It doesn't matter what the pop is in brown. People aren't trying to collect top pop brown coins. So that's just sort of the reality. Same thing with maybe Franklin $50. Full bell lines versus non-full bell lines. It seems like for the really high-end stuff, the full bell lines is going to help a coin sell. Now, sometimes it's an astronomical price to pay for those full bell lines, so maybe it's a little questionable if you want to do it. So I wouldn't say that that's actually the best example. But really, when you're sort of at the top and you're trying to have high-end coins, I think it's better to go for really just the best of the best, and that's probably for US, PCGS, and that's just the current. Again, could change. NGC is a great grading company, I think. Both of them are very high quality and respected, but again, look at what people are paying, and obviously the dealers are going to want to get paid the most, so they're just going to do what makes sense for them. This is really basic, but it happens every once in a while. There's some wild Chris Tisdale from CoinTable. He had some experiences like this where he bought a coin that said Mint State, and it was proof. So, he cracked the coin out and lost a few $100 because you can't get that guarantee back or send it back to the company when it's a proof coin in a Mint State holder. Normally the proofs it's easy to get like a 68, 69 grade Mint State. That's going to be way rarer. I think on his Instagram, it wasn't his coin, but he posted the other day a coin that should be like a $30 coin was in a Mint State holder, and now it auctioned at Heritage for like $6,000. So, they're great collections, I think. This is something you really want to be on the lookout for. Basic, but that's a trap coin if I ever heard one. That should be earlier on the list. The next one is maybe a little more controversial, and I don't even know if I should put it on here, so please comment your thoughts if you could phrase this better than I could. But you want to think about the liquidity of coins. So I love varieties. I think they're super, super cool. But the fact of the matter is, it's way tougher to sell these in a pinch for the right, high amount of money. If you find them on your own, that's what I encourage people to do. That's great. But that's a really specific niche of collecting where you need to place it with the right buyer. And if you can't place it, or if the buyer, stops collecting or completes their collection, and there's like 3 or 4 of them maybe, and they're not always having their eyes glued to the computer because they're buying expensive coins, and it's just one part of, they have a lot of money they're spending, whatever the case may be. Coins, if you're spending a ton of money to buy a coin that has relatively limited collector appeal, you want to be careful with that. Maybe that's like proof 3-cent nickels, for example. Sort of a crazy, weird thing. It's not like, I think that 3-cent nickels are awesome, but like, how many collectors of there are the proof ones? And are these truly rare coins? They are definitely rare, but like the rarity, is there that collector base coming to snap them up like there might be with, I don't know, some of the high-end Carson City Morgan dollars, for example, or some of the really early problem-free, non-details graded bust gold. Like there's some really rare flowing hair coins, or 1793 U.S. coinage. There's people buying that stuff all the time, even if it's sort of at the higher end. Whereas who's really paying up for the top pop of a not super rare year proof 2-cent piece? So these are things to really think about before, in a rising market, maybe that's great, but when things start inching down, you could find yourself in a tough spot. And so that's what I'm talking about with trap coins. I'm sure that I missed a few different types of trap coins, but again, if you see something raw, well, why is it raw if it's going to be so valuable? It costs $50 or $75 if it's super valuable to send in. Probably should have been sent in. Again, we're not technically always talking about, is it a fake or a real coin? Often we're just talking about, is there some problem with the coin that your eye is not picking up? Even if you've seen a lot of coins, it happens where people have a tough time with coins because they just didn't do the common sense thing. They, thought that they could get a quick deal, and often you can get some good deals, but at the same time, maybe leave the quick buck on the table where you're sort of not taking advantage of somebody, but like getting something sort of crazy, and in favor of a safer play where you can do well. Maybe you bring, say you're buying a collection. Sometimes what I'll do, if there is somewhat of a potential trap coin, I'll say, look, I'd love to buy this and do really well with it, and a lot of shops might be paying super low amounts for it. How about I just send it in to get graded, and then I take a percentage of the fee at the end of the day. I do a little bit of work. That way it makes sure protects my capital and then gets you the right amount. So that's sort of how I think about it. If this was helpful, please leave a comment. And if it, I always like hearing different opinions people always discuss in the comments. So I'll see you there. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated. I've also got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so you can follow me there. TreasuretownYT.com is the main channel website. Definitely give that a visit. I've got a lot of information about me up there and the channel. CoinGrabBag.com as well currently redirects there, but it's some good opportunities for very fair grab bags, both made by me and other sellers. A lot of different options, so that's a good way to support. There's also TreasuretownCoins.com. In the future, my coin dealing operation will be done out of that website. CoinMeltPrice.com for updates on the melt prices of your coins, both US and world. A lot of resources in that website. And then CoinsMetalsCards.com being developed right now as a marketplace and news source for coins, metals, cards, and collectibles in general. So I'll see you on my future videos. Looking forward to seeing you there, and hope you have a good day.